Hi YouTube, this is Evie. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. This one is going to be pretty related to my last video that I did, which was talking about vanilla bashing and kink bashing. Links down below if you haven't seen it yet. But I want to talk about the fact that BDSM is not a hierarchy. And this is sort of an idea that I've had in my head for a while, but I wasn't really sure how to do this video. And frankly, I'm still not really sure, so we'll see how this goes. Basically, what I want to talk about is that it doesn't really matter how kinky you are compared to other people. I know, especially amongst the younger crowd, it is very easy, in any alternative subculture, to look up to your elders and aspire to be what they are and to get to the same level there. And I think that's a really good thing. I think we need to stop idolizing and stop glamorizing certain dynamics and certain kinks just for how extreme they are and how kinky they are. So for example, there is a lot of glamorization and desire for a master-slave relationship or a 24/7 total power exchange relationship. And I think you need to realize that not everyone is cut out for a 24/7 total power exchange relationship. Not everybody wants that, and that is perfectly acceptable and okay. Just because you're unable to get to a point in your relationship or just as yourself as a person to a point where you want to do or feel safe doing a 24/7 total power exchange relationship or a master-slave dynamic or something like that doesn't make you a failure as a kinkster, doesn't make you any less kinky than somebody who is in a master-slave relationship. It doesn't make you any less than them, and it doesn't make them any better that they are in a master and slave relationship. It's just, you have to take relationships as they are, and you need to take yourself for what you are and what you are comfortable with. Trying to push yourself into doing certain kinks, certain activities, or pursuing different kinds of relationships, even if you may not personally be comfortable with them, just for the sake of appearing more kinky and because you believe that the best and purest kind of BDSM relationship is one that's 24/7 total power exchange relationship, or a master-slave relationship, or somebody who does knife play or blood play or, really extreme breath play or whatever it is, any kind of edge play. Doing or not doing those things doesn't really matter as long as you are true to what you really want and to what you believe works best for your relationship and what works best for your own personal health, well-being, and safety. It's not that people who participate in total power exchange are better than people who do partial power exchange or no power exchange. It's not like it is you need to progress eventually to do this one thing, otherwise you're not really kinky or you're not as kinky as other people. That's not what it's about. Kink is about, at least in my opinion, it is about personally expressing things that make you feel fulfilled, that make you feel erotic and powerful, and make you feel like the best and most truest self that you are. And whether or not that manifests as being a 24/7 total power exchange relationship or a master-slave dynamic or anything like that doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter as long as you are being true to yourself. And I feel like I'm repeating that a lot, but that's basically the idea that I want to get out there with this video. And going back to an analogy that I made in my previous video about using a rabbit for a flogger, if the only kind of impact play that you like is using a rabbit for a flogger, or a little plastic spoon or something that doesn't really have a lot of thud or a lot of sting, would be considered by most people to not really be impact play and would be more along the lines of sensation, that is okay. That's what works for you. It doesn't make you less of a kinkster because you don't like pain. It doesn't make you more of a kinkster because you are the world's heaviest pain bottom. That's not what this is about. That's not what we should be focusing on. We should be spending our energies trying to make our relationships better, trying to make ourselves better, and trying to just pursue whatever the truest form of ourselves that we are. And sort of the reason why I wanted to talk about this subject is this is something that I personally struggle with a lot, especially when I first started to get involved in the real life community, because I am not a pain bottom at all. I will do a impact scene as a part of a larger scene for a very brief period of time, and I only very rarely do full on impact scenes. It's I joke that it's a biannual event, but in reality I maybe only do it a couple of times a year because it's not really what my dynamic is about, and it's not really why I'm involved in BDSM, and it is taking me a very, very long time to become comfortable with the fact that I am not a pain bottom. I would like to learn to enjoy the sensation behind pain more, learn how to control my reactions to pain more, and learn how to kind of utilize it in the same way like a natural masochist would. But I am not a masochist. I'm not a pain bottom. That's not really who I am as a person. And I've always felt that because I couldn't be that person, I couldn't be that pain bottom, which was something that a lot of my past partners really wanted me to be. I felt lesser as a submissive. I felt lesser as an S-type or a bottom in general because it very much limited the kind of people I could play with and the kind of scenes that I could do. But in the more recent past, I have discovered that just because I can't do this one thing, I am open to like so many other things that a lot of people are just not okay with doing. Like, I really, really like sensory deprivation, and a lot of people are just straight up not okay with that. I do a lot of things that I'm not going to talk about on this channel because I don't want to have to age restrict everything that I do. But there are kinks that I participate in that are definitely considered edge play that even maybe the world's heaviest pain bottom wouldn't be okay with. And I just have to learn to accept myself for who I am as a submissive, who I am in terms of BDSM practitioner. And I think the same thing goes for a dominant as well. If you are a dominant and you're not really into being that like cold, cruel, like aloof, like person who's like really hard to access, if you really want to be able to be emotionally close to your submissive and it's important to you and your dynamic that you can be emotionally close and have a really close bond, that's okay. Don't try to force yourself to be something that you're not in order to fit a stereotype or fit a mold of what an ideal dominant or what an ideal submissive looks like, because that's not healthy and that's not productive and that's not going to help you form relationships that are really going to be the best for you as a person and are going to help you get what you want out of BDSM or out of kink or out of an alternative lifestyle. And I think it's also very helpful to know this for when you are getting involved in the real life community, for also just the reason that, you know, people are people. Even the, you know, most respected, long-term, 24/7 total power exchange, you know, master-slave relationship, at their core, they're really still just people, and you don't need to put them on a pedestal and, like, idolize their relationship as being, like, complete perfection, because in all likelihood, they still have problems, they still have things to work through, and putting a perfect SM, you know, dynamic or a perfect MS relationship on a pedestal is not healthy, and it's unrealistic, and it's going to set you up for a lot of failures and a lot of disappointments if you try to reach that unreachable perfect dynamic or that perfect relationship. And it's really just, you need to realize that people aren't perfect, and you're not going to have, you know, things that always match up 100% in a relationship with what you really wish you could do, because people are people and they each have their own individual quirks and limits and kinks and preferences and desires and dreams and everything, and you can't force people to be what they're not, and it's unhealthy to try otherwise. Even in an MS relationship where you're engaging in a lot of like behavior modification and a lot of trying to mold the submissive or mold the slave into what you want them to be, there are going to be certain core things there that you can't change because it's just who they are as a person, that are sort of immovable. And it's important to know that ahead of time. It's important to know that about yourself, what those immovable things are and what you aren't going to change and what cannot be changed. And that's really all I wanted to talk about in this video. I wasn't really sure exactly how to approach it, but hopefully you found it helpful. Basically, in summary, BDSM is not a hierarchy. It's not a matter of who is kinkier or who is less kinky. It's not a matter of what kind of relationship you're in or the degree of that relationship. It's not a matter of what kind of kinks you're into or how into them you are. As long as you're being true to yourself, and as long as you have partners that are compatible, and as long as you are doing what makes you happy and helps you get to your best sense of self and helps you feel like you're being truest to yourself. And that's really all I have to say. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Please leave any comments or questions you have down below. I am always happy to answer questions. And until you see you next time, hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.